everything runs right.
You do a pre-show now as well, don't we?
Well, yeah, basically, because we have we actually start the show at 9, but we start the radio show at 9:03:18.
Yeah, well, you could actually do the video on the pre-screen because Glenn's starting to do that as well, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's what we have been doing.
Yeah. The last couple of ones you haven't. There's been no screen. It's literally been the black logo.
Yeah, I kick it on right at 9 o'clock most of the time.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm going to get dressed because I'm not suitable.
Okay,
so
go get dressed.
Get back to you in a second.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, check 1, 2. Check. Looking at the frame rates, making sure everything's going right. Let's see here. Everything's on. Look at you. All nice. We're live streaming. This is the pre-show. If you hear that whistling in the background, that is Jonathon Dunne getting himself dressed. No, I don't see it, thankfully. I thankfully do not see it. I know, it's like, why is somebody getting dressed for a radio show? But, well, we also have some video, too, and he doesn't want to look like a slob going into it, so, you know, he feels better. Welcome back. Oh, no, you went away. He went away. There he is. You went away, man. What happened? Johnny, what are you doing, man? What are you doing to me?
I have no idea. I have no earthly idea. It just went. I went. That's not good.
Nope, that's not good. All right. Take your camera and turn it towards your mic.
Towards my mic?
Yeah. There you go. Right there. Centered.
No, I thought you want the flag in the background.
Oh, man, if you want the flag in the background, that's fine.
Ah, no, it's cool.
We can still see it, by the way. So it's A-okay.
Sweet.
Okay.
So we're about to go.
Oh,
1
yeah,
minute.
We got.
Have we not got the girl going? 15 seconds.
No, we don't have that. Actually, we are live on Facebook as of right now.
Okay, cool. What can I say that can be really controversial that'll go on your YouTube channel that some old lady can wind you up about in a couple of months?
Wind me up? No, not wind me up. Wind Dylan up.
The guest you had said inappropriate things.
That was Dylan that got wound up about that.
Oh, okay. So what can I say? Who can I wind up today?
I don't know.
Because we're live right now, are we?
Yeah, we are live right now.
Have we? Okay. And anyone watching yet?
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Who's watching?
I'd guess to say Erica or AJ is. Hey, AJ.
Go Yankees!
All right, connecting to the rest of the streams.
And Erica, if you're listening, this is just for you. The Yankees just hit a rocket.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, she just joined on, so. Hey, Nicole. Glad to see you. If you guys don't know, we have about 2 more minutes before we actually go live.
So this is the pre-show. This is where all the special people get to hear the special commentary.
By special, you mean just the people that show up early?
Yeah, exactly. You know, the people who show up on time.
Right. Yeah, those people.
Yeah, those people. You know, you get to, you know, in case, you know, we're all going to talk about the boring Bill Wrights and all, like, but for now, we're going to talk about sports. You know,
Sure.
What about those Yankees?
I think so. You know,
do
how
you
about
actually
the
know?
Yankees?
Do you know what actually happened in Yankee Stadium today?
No, what happened at Yankee Stadium
They
today?
celebrated the 20th anniversary of the 1998 World Series team, which is widely considered the best Yankee team to, you know, play in the last century. But
is it considered the best team?
Well, I don't think you can be the best team without Babe Ruth. But, you know, it's a toss-up. Like, the best team is the Yankees of 1998, maybe Yankees of 96, of 2008. They're all Yankee teams who are considered the best.
I think we might lose Erica here in a minute.
You know what's funny? You know what? I actually should be a salesman for like laptops and iPads, because like I just get onto your show, wind up Eric, and she'll smash your laptop, she'll smash your phone, and then just go, yeah, come on, buy a new one off me.
Yep,
I'll
exactly.
help. I'm helping Donald Trump's economy.
There you go. There you go.
You're welcome.
Erica said, "Stop being a jack, a donkey."
Stop. She didn't say you be a donkey.
No, she didn't. But I'm not saying.
No,
it,
she didn't.
I'm not saying it.
Oh yes, the FEC. Yes, the FEC rules and all
I'm
these
on
rules.
radio
Yeah.
We've been trying to keep it clean for the radio.
Yeah. I do have one question though, which I'd it's a pity we can't get Erica on the phone. How exactly do you suck wind?
Oh, okay.
What are we now? We're going into wrestling.
With that, hold on, stop.
Ooh,
stop,
yeah.
Stop.
Stop what?
Hello, everybody. You are listening to the DOA Show, where you can find us. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter. You can find us everywhere that you can hear the sound of my voice. Plus, you can also go pretty much anywhere. By that, I mean you can go to SoundCloud, iTunes, Spreaker. You can also go to our webpage. If you go to our webpage, you can find us there, doaeshow.com. And if you go there, you can go to the shop/shop, and you can buy a shirt or a mug. Or you could be like Jonathan and not buy anything. I have with me tonight Jonathon Dunne. Jonathan, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing quite well. We have a couple things to go over, don't we?
Just one or two.
Just one or two.
Or 10.
Or 30, or 45, 50.
I think 10 is a more apt number for tonight.
10 is probably a more apt number. I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what. It is going to be a good show, I think.
It's going to be a great show.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, tonight, obviously the title is What a Bore. And by that, we're talking about the Bill of Rights. Now, John, with the Bill of Rights, let's go through a couple things. Obviously, the reason why we're talking about it tonight is because it's been mentioned quite a bit lately. Everybody's talking about their First Amendment rights and their Second Amendment rights and some of their Fourth Amendment rights, but nobody really knows what they are.
Well, it is the right to contraception, right? I know that's one of the 10.
No, that's only
I'm nearly
in Ireland.
sure.
That's only in Ireland.
No. I hear liberals talking about the right to contraception.
Ooh.
The right to abortion is another Bill of Rights, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The right to like slap Donald Trump and what was that great phrase I heard from one of your protesters? Oh yeah, we'd Gaddafi him. That's in the Bill of Rights, right?
Gaddafi him. Oh man, that's pretty harsh. I gotta say that's pretty harsh.
That was. Well, that's who you're dealing with right now. The right to to white nationalism. That's in there, right? That's in the Bill of Rights, right?
Yeah, of course. Sure.
Yeah. So why don't we get to them and actually let's break these bad boys down.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll let you start, John. Go right ahead. Roll into it.
So I always think the best place to start is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And if I may offer like an outsider's point of view, let's
Sure.
be critical of the founders for just 1 minute. I think the founders got the Bill of Rights all wrong. Just their layout alone. You got to think like a student, right?
Mm-hmm.
You read the Bill of Rights and you think the First Amendment, right? Just think logically here, right? The First Amendment. How many rights do you think is in the First Amendment?
I mean, if you thought logically, there would be one if you're going by amendment.
Exactly. And then you think the Second Amendment's the second one, right?
Sure.
The Founding Fathers didn't do it that way. That was their problem. If anyone read the First Amendment, went, geez, there's an awful lot of rights in there, and you want me to read 10 of these? If you keep growing, this is going to turn into an essay. So I think that's the problem. They put too many rights in the First Amendment.
Really? That's what you think is going on?
I think so, yeah. I think people skipped over it. They read the First Amendment, saw the first right, and went, freedom of religion, that doesn't affect me, or it does, or it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Move on. And they got bored. So what?
Really?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think the founding fathers are wrong in this one.
Okay. All
There you have.
right.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back in time. I'm gonna go get my DeLorean and tell the founding fathers, listen, you need to listen to this Irish guy. I'll sort you out.
Okay, so we have there's five
There's
separate
five.
rights in the First Amendment, and I think we need to go through them a little bit. So why don't you help us out there?
Well, the first one is freedom of religion.
Yes.
And everyone talks. That's always for you religious folks, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's right. That's for us religious folk.
Yeah, you Christians. You Christians, you people who believe in Jesus. That's only an amendment for you. That's not like if I'm an atheist, that's not for me. Right?
I mean, it is for you. Yes.
No, it's not. It's for you Christian people, for you Jewish people, even for those Muslims. I'm an atheist. It doesn't. I'm not actually an atheist, but if I was, the freedom of religion doesn't affect me, right?
Well, I mean, it does.
How?
Because you have the right to not have religion. And so as such, you have a right to not worship, in effect.
Oh, so the freedom of religion is kind of like freedom to choose whichever way you want. So if you want to worship Jesus or God or Allah or a stone or the tooth fairy or Mother Nature, I'm free to do that. Like, so it affects everyone?
Yes, it affects everyone.
Wow. It's almost like that saying I read the other day, whereas if a believer demands that I, as a non-believer, observe his taboos in the public domain, he is not asking for my respect, but for my submission.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, so the freedom of religion is for everyone. But where do you hear this argument today?
You don't hear it anywhere.
Like, so the people who are against the Bill of Rights, Antifa or, atheists or, the gay baker, or not the gay baker, but the gay person wanting them to get married and stuff. Freedom of religion is just for them as much as everyone else. But where do you hear that being told to people?
Oh, you don't hear that anywhere.
Why?
Well, you don't hear that anywhere because, well, for one, it's not really. They don't really think that that person has the ability to expand on their religion outside of their church anymore.
Absolutely. So then you move on. What's the second right that's under the First Amendment?
Second right that's under the First Amendment? Well, you have the right to religion. You have the right to free speech. Which way are we going? Are we going just directly down the line?
Yeah, well, this is your show. You're driving it.
Well, yeah. I mean, whichever one you want to do, it's just fine.
Well, we do speech.
Okay.
So free speech.
Yeah.
Where do people talk about free speech? Because everyone talks about it, but y'all are having a debate right now in America. Do you really respect free speech?
I don't think we do.
Does anyone respect free speech?
I really don't think they do.
Why?
Well, for them, it doesn't make sense. If they respected free speech, then they would be, flat out, they would be actually allowing pretty much anybody to say whatever they wanted, and they wouldn't be fighting to force other people to do and say things that they want them to do.
I know. And look, as I just want to live in a world personally. I'm a big free speech guy. I just want to be able to tell everyone I meet with my hand on my heart saying, look, the Yankees are the greatest sports franchise of all time. Get over it. I just want to have that speech.
You're really going to dig that in tonight, aren't you?
I am, absolutely. But here's the thing. You see, here's the great thing about your founders. I also will respect other people. They're wrong and they're idiots. But, if they come and say to me, the Red Sox are the best sports, I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're wrong. Sure. It's your hashtag fake news. But you got that right to say that.
Okay.
So do you think they should have the right to spread that lie?
Well, of course they do have the right to spread that, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. The founders then went on to a third one, the freedom of the press.
Right.
They started to repeat themselves. Because I always love this. It's kind of like, okay, we got the freedom of speech, but then we also got the freedom of the press. Yes. If you use your logic and you kind of go freedom of the speech, what argument can you make? Kind of go, yeah, we got freedom of speech, but you can't have free press.
Right.
So it's really doubling down on it.
Of course it is.
So,
it's incredibly, it's doubling down incredibly to a high degree. Yes.
And absolutely, and you're going through a debate right now whether you have a free press or not. You know, the question that needs to be asked, and it needs to be asked time and time again, is, you know, if a press doesn't hold up their side of the bargain or hold up their responsibilities, do they have that right to be free?
Well, that is the question, isn't it?
And what would you say?
I would say that if they're not holding their end of the bargain there, then technically none of us are free.
Well, but do they have a right to be censored?
No, nobody has a right to be censored.
Okay, so then you get on to freedom of assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you have a right to control people who you associate with, who you go around with, who you hang around with?
That's a good question. I mean, if you look back at it and you see everything that's going on, should you have the right to tell other people who they can associate with? Is that what you're asking here? In essence?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Quite simply, you don't have the authority to do that.
And why not?
Well, you don't have the authority because, one, you have the freedom to do that. That is a right given to you by God.
Amen. And then the last one is petition your government. Why is that important?
Well, let's say that something was going on. Your government was doing something stupid that they shouldn't be doing, and you wanted to point it out to them. You should have the right to talk to your government, to redress your government, and it's one of the reasons why, technically, even though we hate them, we have to say that lobby groups are okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let me give you the other side of this angle.
Sure.
So this is why I think one of the things it's very important, and one of the things I always try and do in everything I talk about is to explain why America is different to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go through each of those 5 rights that you have in their Bill of Rights, that makes you an exceptional nation, and compare it to places like Ireland, England, and other soft tyrannies under the quote-unquote democracy.
Sure.
Do we have freedom of religion? Sure, to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But you generally have, if you look at places like England, while it's not a theocracy like Iran, it's very much, you have your state-run religion. The Queen is the head of the church, of the Protestant church. So there's no separation from it. You look at the control that you have. Freedom of speech. We claim to have freedom of speech over here. We don't. You have politically correct speech. You have it in some aspect in America, but I could tell you stories of words that just sound like other words that you're not allowed to use.
Really?
Yes. I remember a story where this is about 3 years ago. I was doing volunteer work in a really underprivileged area, and one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to bring in literacy classes so people could learn to read and write. And we were not allowed to call them literacy classes. It wasn't politically correct. And I went, I'm sorry, so why is that? No, it sounds too much like illegitimate.
Hey, let's stop right there. We're going to take a break, and we will be right back. For everybody listening to the podcast right now, we are having a little bit of technical difficulties.
Oh no. Is George Soros playing around again?
I don't know what's going on, man, but something happened with the audio file, and I'm just having to screw with it now to get it up and running the way that it should be doing.
Oh no. George Soros, man, he always screws with people who love freedom. So I tell you what, I think here's a real good time. You go fix your audio files, buddy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the people know why the Yankees are the greatest sports franchise, because that's what they wanted to listen to.
Oh, don't do that, dude. Don't do that. You're going to hurt me so bad.
I know. Your boss is going to come back this week and he's going to go, "What have you done to my show?" John spoke about the Yankees. Why did you let him do that? Our show is dead. I know we believe in freedom of speech, but even John should be stopped. Exactly. We should censor John. We should
censor John, yes.
But on a serious note, because I know you want to talk about this, so let's give the people who are watching a bit of insider baseball. Let's get to the story you wanted to talk about. You beg for the story to be in show prep. Did you all hear what happened to Stormy Daniels this week?
Oh,
in England?
Not. I did not. Don't even.
Oh, no, you begged. You know exactly what happened to Stormy Daniels this week. You were dying. You were like, we got to talk Stormy Daniels.
Don't even lie. Stop
Yeah,
lying.
no, you were. I'm not lying. You wanted to talk about Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels is ruining her reputation over in the UK because she got the highest ever figure was, I think it was like £500,000 to appear on Celebrity Big Brother. And Celebrity Big Brother thought this is a great. I don't know. I personally don't get it. Right?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't get if you're a producer of a show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at Stormy Daniels and think, geez, ratings.
Right. Nobody does.
Especially in the UK.
But nobody does, do they?
Okay. I don't. Well, they obviously did because they paid her like £500,000, which was like the highest ever, and it's not even close. Like it's not like someone got £450,000 and she got 500.
Yeah.
She got way more, but they built up sets for her. So they built her a set in the Oval Office. They built her a set on the Mexico border. But anyway, she no-showed.
And we're back. As you guys can hear, or you probably did hear, having some technical issues, but I think we're doing all right. So, enough talk about Stormy Daniels if you guys were listening on the back end there. Let's get back to the Bill of Rights. Now, we were talking about the First Amendment. Obviously, we haven't even gotten out of there. How about we wrap it up as quickly as we can here, John, on that one there?
Sure. So in Europe, while we do have a freedom of the press, you see a lot of mainstream media being run by the government. Mm-hmm. You know, you look at in England, they've got the BBC. In Ireland, we have RTE. Other countries in the world, it's all run by the state media, and they generally tend to be the largest. Freedom of assembly, sure, you have freedom of assembly, but you know you get judged by it. You know, if you don't hang around with the right people, it can be tricky for your job. Mm-hmm. Petition your government. Well, that's the one actually place Europe is really strong in because we believe in democracy. Yes. And if we can get 50% plus one person to say you have that, boom, guess what? You can either get an extra right or you kiss goodbye to a right. So that's why America and the First Amendment is so critical with those 5 amendments.
There you go. And so we broke down the First Amendment. Obviously, it was broken down into 5 separate segments. Now let's go on to the second, something that pretty much everybody here knows everything about, but we've got to go through it anyway. So, Second Amendment, John, lay it on us.
I think you should take the Second Amendment. I did the first.
Oh, I see what you're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're doing here. All right, so the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. Now, many people will say, oh, it's not the right to bear arms. It's the right for a militia to bear, blah, 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 and all this other jazz. No. Let's kind of clear the air as that's concerned. So, well-formed militia is where they go. And in that instance, when they say well-formed militia, it's the right of the people shall not be infringed.
Amen.
And I mean, beyond that, it's shall not be infringed. Now, here's the thing. Biggest question that I have with you, sir. Yes or no, states should be able to infringe on those rights?
That I would say?
Yeah.
No.
Of course.
It's nature's law. It's a right to. It's not even a right to a gun. It's a right to self-defense. Mm-hmm. You have a right to defend yourself ever how you see fit. No, they should not be able to infringe on those rights.
Exactly. And that's the point. They shouldn't be able to touch it. They shouldn't be able to do anything. They should be. The only thing that they should be able to do is to sit back and watch you as you do your thing. As long as you aren't doing something illegal, they have no right to whatever they're doing.
Absolutely. Now, I will say you could convince me of the argument of states being able to say CNC and open carry. Mm-hmm. You could convince me that they have a decision there.
Really?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's infringing on your rights. Open carry or concealed carry. I'm not a big open carry fan personally. I never have. It's not something I ever defend. I defend concealed carry for many tactical reasons and logistical reasons, and it's just something I'm a lot more comfortable with.
I got you, but that's just a comfort level thing. I mean, personally, if I saw a person carrying a gun, and I understood where they're coming from, I wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen people carry guns openly, and I haven't got a problem. I just think it's just something, people are more passionate about certain things, and I'm more, this might shock you, I'm more conservative, more keeping things quiet and not making big deals about things. I know I don't do a good job about this, been very vocal about certain things, but yeah, I just like not letting everyone know everything, and it's just a personal thing. But I would like to share a quote, because George Washington had a great quote on the Second Amendment.
Okay, sure.
He said, "Firearms stand next in importance to the Constitution itself. They are the American people's, not the American militia, the American people's liberty's teeth and keystone under independence."
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
So, Second Amendment is absolutely critical. Now we get to the Third Amendment. The one amendment that you can make an argument hasn't been infringed, but I will make an argument that it has been infringed on a daily basis.
Sure, go right ahead.
The Third Amendment is you're not allowed to have soldiers quartered in your house. Everyone always thinks, "Oh, that's never been infringed." They are you're Alex Jones and kooky if you think soldiers are ever going to be stationed in your house. Well, you see, that's the thing about 2018. Doesn't have to be a soldier. The NSA are in your house all day long. They go through your emails. They go through your faxes. If people still send faxes,
no,
I don't know.
They don't.
No, faxes went out. Do y'all still have pagers?
No, nobody has pagers over here.
Damn, they were so cool.
Unless you're a drug dealer, and then you can have a pager.
Well, with libertarian policies, who knows what the future holds.
Very true.
But no, they're in your house every day. You have absolutely no privacy. But the Third Amendment also links to the Fourth Amendment, which is, you're up.
The Fourth Amendment is to unwarranted search and seizures. So you have the right to defend yourself against unwarranted search and seizures. The government cannot come into your house, seize your property, go through your stuff, or anything without due process.
Absolutely. And this, because this is the one amendment I got really passionate about, because, I'm sure you have the same debates online with your friends and family, and you hear the same line, "Well, John, it's the left that's the problem in America. It's those damn Democrats."
Sure.
The Fourth Amendment is the one amendment that the Republicans alone butchered, slaughtered, drove over, reversed over it, and drove over it a second time, and pretty much have ruined solely by themselves.
Is this about that whole George Bush thing that happened back in the day?
Oh, you could say that.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it could be.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it could be. There's the other part of the Fourth Amendment, which is also is critical, because you have to actually issue a warrant under probable cause, but you also have to do certain things with that warrant. Because if you go back to the history, and the Fourth Amendment's very interesting, how the founders came up with it. I actually did a show on this a couple of weeks ago with the whole Boston Massacre. Of all the infringements, they used to do just general warrants to take stuff, because your colonists were full of smugglers, and you were taking Dutch tea and stuff, and they would just take stuff and just do a general warrant, and they'd search for anything. If today under the Fourth Amendment, you're supposed to have probable cause, you're supposed to describe the place that's to be searched, the persons and the things that are to be seized. So it can't just be a general warrant. Hey, Stephen, guess what? We have this general warrant. We're just going to search your house, and hey, we'll find something.
If we find something that we like, we're going to keep it. And if we find something that we don't like, you're going to go away for the rest of your life. Yeah.
But also you see these stories which are really frightening, and in places where you shouldn't hear stories, I'm sure you've heard them over the years, like horror stories in Texas. And some of the PDs in Texas have really taken powers just because it's under the guise of drug enforcement, where they've taken cars and $10,000 off people just on suspicion of drugs, and then they have to claim to get it back. So that even in Texas, even the great Republic of Texas that I love, has trampled on the Fourth Amendment,
which is pretty weird, and it's pretty sad that we're going there, and that has happened. But let me ask you a question, man. Do you plead the Fifth?
I always plead the fifth. It's always it's such. Do you plead the fifth? Absolutely, I plead the fifth all day long, all day long. But here's the thing, there's so many rights in the Fifth Amendment that to actually go through. So there's so much more to it. So why don't you take it away, or is it?
All right, no. I'll take this one. So no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in case arising to land or naval forces or in a militia, when in actual service in times of war and public danger, nor shall any person be subject to the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy, double jeopardy. You can't be put into double jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to bear witness against himself, nor be deprived of liberty, life, or property without due process of law, nor shall their property be taken away for public use without compensation. And with that, we will be right back. All right, let's have a little talk.
Let's have a little talk. Stormy Daniels.
No more Stormy Daniels. Please.
Oh, okay, you want to go to your other favorite story in show prep, Amorosa.
You're just trying to make people upset, aren't you?
No, I find it funny. Look, we can always talk about the Yankees because that goes down really well.
That really goes down well, and I'm pretty sure we just lost 5 people. No.
I know it's. What's funny? It's funny because on my timeline I'll talk about politics all day long and people engage and people are great. I talk about the Yankees and all of a sudden it's like everyone either just ignores it or has this free for all going. I'm going to share a logo of my team and it's like, okay, so just.
But why?
They're just all a bunch of haters.
Everybody's hating.
So as I have, I'm not a famous person, but as I famously have said to several people, and people love when I say this to them, they come for my analysis. As I say, if you're not a Yankee fan, you're a commie. And people love me here. You know what? There's nothing more that they love better than an Irishman telling them if they're not a Yankee fan, they're a commie.
I'm sure.
But it's the accent I get away with it.
I think it is. I think it's the accent that really gives it away. Nobody's too concerned about it because they're like, "What's this guy? He can't be a Yankee anyway. I mean, why? What's with the accent, man?"
Now they're all like, "Oh, that voice is so dreamy."
I don't think so. I mean, maybe.
Oh, they are. Look, chicks dig me. They look at my body and they listen to my voice and like, oh, John, if only I could have me a slice of that. If only I could have me a slice of that pie.
I mean, you do have a pretty good dad bod going. You have the dad bod.
The problem is I'm not a dad. That's the only problem.
So you could play that off pretty well, though. You just find some random Irish kid to walk in next to. And
yeah. Hey. Here, meet my kid. He'll look different every time, but yeah, it's my kid.
You get into a rut and you accidentally find some like random Asian kid just walking down the street. Yeah, it's my kid.
My kid, absolutely. That's mine.
That's mine.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I don't think so. No.
No.
All right. So I'm gonna pause here. Say let's go radio silent because I don't know exactly when the music's gonna hit. But let's just go radio silent as of now for the next 10.
You just enjoy your few seconds of peace.
And welcome back. You are listening to Defenders of American Exceptionalism on Mojo right now live. You're also listening on IPM Nation as well as over on Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, on our website at DOA Show. And if you'd like to go to the DOAShow.com/shop, you can get some awesome swag like the shirt that I'm wearing now. We might have more to come very, very soon, hopefully, maybe. I don't know, John. How about you? Anyway. Also, if you guys would like to, and you want to see this grow, and you want to see this keep on coming, you can go to our page and go to the membership section. You can become a Defender with us. And if you do, it's $5 a month, $50 a year. And when you go for the $50 a year annual, you will get a shirt for free. It's the hashtag I see what you did there shirt. A couple of people have already gotten it. We've had a couple texts back and forth, and it's awesome. They love it.
Well, who wouldn't want to become a defender of American exceptionalism?
Exactly. Well, I mean, people consider us apparently we're fascist because we defend American exceptionalism.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but I just, truth hurts sometimes.
Yeah, truth hurts.
And I will say this, if you're not watching us on Facebook Live, you're missing out because, if you're just slumming it on the show, listening like on Spreaker or on any of these other platforms, you're getting the Bill of Rights, but where the real show,
what we're looking like.
You're not getting the real news and the real analysis that, you get on Facebook Live. You've got the Bill of Rights on the show, but you've got... We've discussed Stormy Daniels. We've discussed Rosa. We've discussed the Yankees. So if you're not watching on Facebook Live, and plus you get to look at me
or YouTube,
or YouTube. You get to look at my dad bod. I don't have kids, but I've got the dad bod down.
Somehow,
so
I mean, it's magical.
Yeah, exactly. And you get to look at Tom Cruise, with glasses.
Hey. Anyway. So we went through...
How's the ankle, by the way? You fully recovered from your stunt on Mission Impossible?
Yes. I had to walk with a limp for about 2 weeks, but I got to full running capacity very, very quickly. Yes.
I know all about walking with a limp, but that's a whole different story.
We'll get out. That's a whole nother day. All right.
That's actually coming up in the next break. So we'll come on to Facebook Live. You'll hear that story.
Or YouTube. You can go to YouTube and see us live.
Or YouTube. I keep forgetting YouTube.
Yeah. So we're on the Fifth Amendment. And we were going through, you can't do double jeopardy. You can't be compelled to witness against yourself. You can't be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process. And none of your private property shall be taken away by the public without compensation.
Absolutely. And these are absolutely critical of a justice system. But, if you look at how far... people have come from this, where we see people regularly deprived of life, liberty, and their property, and we have this culture in America right now, and it's going throughout the world, where everyone automatically assumes if we don't like them, they're guilty until they're proven innocent.
That's really weird. And let me ask you a question, because this is really, really on my nerves with this one. It's civil asset forfeiture.
Mm-hmm.
That's that last one right there. Without compensation.
Yeah.
It was taken from me without compensation, without me being called a criminal, without any of these problematic things.
Yeah.
Stuff gets taken.
Yeah. And it happens all the time, and you've seen big stories over there where I can't remember what the business the man was in, but he was making deposits of $9,999 on a basis. He was some type of retail outlet. I can't remember if he was a grocer or like a clothing outlet, but he was making these deposits. And the reason he made $9,999 was because every time you go to the bank and you make a deposit over $10,000, the government is let known. Anytime you take a withdrawal of it, the government knows because it's keeping track of your money. And they eventually said, well, you obviously know about the $10,000 law. You're doing something very suspicious.
We're going to take your money anyway.
Yeah, we're going to take your money. And the great thing about it is you're not innocent until proven guilty, or you have to prove your innocence. And then when you prove your innocence,
you're still not giving your stuff.
Yeah, you got to then go, hey, I proved my innocence. Now, hey, you know all that stuff you took from me? Yeah, can I have it back, please?
And their answer is no, because we've already spent it.
Yeah, it's in Fort Knox with the gold.
That's exactly right. No, we've already spent it. We bought brand new boots, and that's what all. Anyway, so Sixth Amendment, John, go.
Right, so you've got many rights under the Sixth Amendment. First of all, I'm going to do it in bullet point form. You got a right to a speedy and a public trial. Mm-hmm. So basically, you can't be made wait forever, and it's got to be in public. Mm-hmm. You have a right to a jury which is impartial of the state. The reason that's critical, again, is goes back to some of the acts in just before the Boston Massacre, where what they actually used to do and what they did to the colonists was the jury didn't have a jury, it was a judge. And the judge got 5% of the rulings against you. So he had a vested interest in saying, hey, Stephen, you're guilty. Because if I find you guilty, I get 5% of what I get to claim off of you.
That's bad.
It also has, you have another right that has to be in the district wherein the crime shall have been committed. Because back in the old days, again, going back to your colonists, before in the 1760s, what they used to do was they'd actually say, well, the court case is here and you have to get there and you had to pay your way there. But if you couldn't get there, because back in, the 1760s, there wasn't like, Delta Airlines and American Airlines and Sprint and Amtrak, exactly. You were automatically found guilty. So you have a right to an impartial jury of the state. You have a right to be a trial with a district where the crime shall have been committed. You have a right to be informed on the nature and the cause of the accusation. It can't be just a general, hey, we find you guilty of something. You have a right to be confronted with witnesses against you. So you have a right to...
You can face your accuser.
Yes, absolutely. You can look them in the eye. You can ask them questions. You have a right to the compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in your favor, i.e. you have a right to defense. And you also have a right to the assistance of a counsel for your defense. It's not like, hey, Stephen, we think you're guilty of something now. I know you know nothing about the law and you know nothing about life, but hey, you got to go defend yourself. No, you have a right to counsel.
Right, and that's that whole point of even if you don't have somebody and you can't afford it, you're still given a lawyer to defend you.
Absolutely, and that's pretty critical.
All right, so let's go through. We have the 7th, and that's basically the value of the controversy shall exceed $20.
$20, how cute.
$20 back in the day was a lot. We should really pump that up to nowadays, and that would probably be in the $20 back in the 1776. Carry the one, something like $30,000 at least minimum.
Yeah,
not a million.
Yeah, give or take.
Give or take. The right by and then the right of a trial by jury. So you got that. 8th Amendment.
No excessive bails, no fines imposed, and no cruel and unusual punishment.
No cruel and unusual punishment. That's what they talk about with terrorists. Yeah,
that's the one amendment that the founders didn't get into. They kind of left that to let's be vague about that. What's cruel and unusual punishment. Yep. And that's the sad thing because you can make the argument. Obviously everyone goes to the terrorist side of things, but I always feel, and I always look at it the other side of the argument because I'm kind of going, and let me ask you this question, right? Let's say, you have good suspicion I've kidnapped your kids.
Right.
You really telling me you'd go, well, I'm going to be totally rational here. You're going to go Jack Bauer, or are you going to try, in your case, go Jack Bauer? I mean, you're going to be Tom Cruise and,
You don't know who I am. I could be so much worse than you think I am.
I'd eat you.
I could. You don't know.
That's teasing.
I'm a fat guy in a small body, man. You don't know.
Oh, that's funny. I'm a fat boy in a real small body. I'm really like 4 foot nothing. I'm really an Irish leprechaun.
Oh, there we go. But so you got that. No cruel and unusual punishments, and that's kind of weird. And then you have the 9th Amendment. The enumerations of the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. That sounds pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically, when you think about it, I mean, come on.
Don't take anyone else's rights.
Right. You can't take anyone else's rights. That's it.
Yeah.
And then and then you got the 10th.
The 10th Amendment, my favorite amendment. Because this is truly one of the reasons why America is exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
You have, and I will read it out, it is basically the Federalism Amendment, which basically says, powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So basically what this means is, not to get into the lingo of the actual Constitution, if you want to go do your research, your founders were very clear on the role of government in the Constitution when they wrote in 1787. They wrote 3 articles of power. You have Article 1, which is Congress, where all powers shall lie in the body of Congress. Mm-hmm. So anyone who thinks presidents can actually make laws, I'm sorry, you're saying something is unconstitutional and you're supporting an unconstitutional law, which pretty much every president, with the exception of George Washington, has done in some way, shape, or form. It all started with at least once, and even the current president likes doing it. It all started with John Adams and the Alien Sedition Act. If you want to go do some research, go research. That was the first unconstitutional law that the president has passed. Everything lies in Congress. If you want to know what powers Congress has, you just need to read a couple of sentences. There's 18 clauses in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. They make the laws. Article 2, power is the president. He is nothing more than a figurehead. At the time of the founders, a president was the lowest title. Just think, if you were to think about, in modern day terms, think a peasant or someone really lowly in society. That's who the president was back then.
He was the butler.
Basically, and even
he was the guy. So when you think of like executor of an estate, he was the guy that just got the things done that was told to him. That's all he was supposed to do. Mm-hmm.
Sign the laws or veto the laws. And meet the people. Right. That is literally their job. And Article 3 power is the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court, if you're interested in the Supreme Court was pretty much flawed from day one. If you want to understand what caused it to be flawed, check out the ruling of Marbury versus Madison, which is a case that you should hear all the time. It should be a case, if you want to talk about litmus tests for Brett Kavanaugh, mm-hmm. The litmus test for every judge in the Supreme Court is what you think of Marbury versus Madison. If you think Marbury versus Madison is a good ruling, you have a problem. And that is federalism. And everything that I didn't say is left up to the states.
Exactly. And we'll be right back. There we go. We didn't even get time to do like all the rest of the junk. Man, we have one more segment up. It's gone quick. It's gone really quick.
I think we might have some overtime.
We might have some overtime. I don't know.
We might get some, because it's always my favorite term, we might get some free baseball.
Oh yeah, free baseball.
There's something cool about being in the stands for free baseball. You ever have it happen to you? No, it's a really cool. It's one of the coolest feelings, but it's also one of the suckiest feelings.
Oh yeah,
it's one of the coolest feelings because you pay your 20, 40, 60, $80 to go to a game, depending on what level of game you're going to. If you're going to Yankee Stadium, it's like $200 freaking bucks to go watch a game, and then it's like extra innings, and you're like, I paid $200 for 9 innings. I'm getting free baseball. It's really cool, and then you realize the realization hits you, smacks you in the face. Yeah, all the people who sell concessions, they're gone home.
Right.
You're like, I have extra innings. I need I have a 10th and 11th inning. I need a hot dog. Yeah, they're all gone. It's like, oh man, come on. If there's free baseball, you should get like a free dog or something.
I mean, yeah, you should. Well, maybe not a free dog, but at least have dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
at least have dogs.
Yeah, at least have some hot dogs and, have a beer. And, how about half off,
Right.
Like the old, even Yankees used to do the whole promo. When they scored 5 runs or more, you got $5 off on your Papa John's order. But because that guy, CEO, said something stupid and got recorded, that promo's gone. So
yeah, that's gone out. That's gone for the wind.
Yeah. New Yorkers are having it tough, man.
What are you going to do, right? What are you going to say?
I know, and then you've got this idiot going around in running for governor going, yeah, America was never great. Jeez, come on. So I know, I know. It's so funny. I honestly think, the way you used to have. Do you ever play this game when you were a kid, where like someone would do something stupid, and they're like, "You can never do anything more stupid." And you're like, "Hold my beer, I'll do something more stupid." Yeah. I honestly think the Cuomo brothers are playing that game this way.
They have to be. They have to be. Like they're texting each other. Oh yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. Listen, you think you were cute defending Antifa and morally punching people? Hold my beer. I'll get more controversy going this week.
I got this. You got nothing.
I got this. Speaking of controversy, you're going to have to hold the show for a minute because I got to make a change.
Well, you go ahead. Go ahead. Looks like John's out of the way. And welcome back. This is the final portion of the Defenders of American Exceptionalism. We have John with us, and for those who aren't watching, John just did a wardrobe change. Luckily, not on camera, so that's good.
Not the Stormy Daniels part of the show was past.
Thank God. Oh, but I think he did the wardrobe change because of one little thing that we wanted to talk about tonight. Obviously, there were a couple things that we didn't get to hit on. Things that we wanted to talk about eventually, but it just didn't come to pass. We wanted to talk about the Catholic Church, but we don't have enough time to do that. So I think we'll save that for when Dylan comes back, because I'm sure he'll be on fire for that.
I'm sure.
And we'll take that out of the way. But let me ask you a question. Researchers have found that there are 31 anti-atheist microaggressions that we do on a pretty much daily basis, or so and such, as what they've told us. How many do you have, sir?
Well, since we're talking about microaggressions, in case you're not watching, and if you're not watching on Facebook Live, you're missing out. I kind of figured I'd, offer up a microaggression to atheists and Jews and Catholics and everyone that basically has no taste and is basically a commie. I am offering the microaggression of wearing a Yankees jersey. And if I may turn my back on you for 1 second, this is not just any Yankee jersey. Because this is the Yankee jersey that just keeps on giving.
The gift that keeps on giving. Is that Rod?
That is A-Rod.
A-Rod. Oh my gosh.
One of the greatest days of my life was the day he was almost at Boston Red Sox, and then he got some sense and came played for the Yankees. So there's my microaggression out of the way. So that really triggers everyone
tonight. You know that?
I know.
Really pushing buttons.
I know. It's what I do. I get to push buttons, and so is that one of your 31 microaggressions, sir?
No, because this is for atheists.
Well, atheists, can be commies too.
Oh, I see what you did there, Erica. I see what you did there. Anyway, so they broke it down into sections. You got the F1, the F2, you've got an F3, F4, and so these sections are assumptions of inferiority.
Can I just ask a question just for clarification purposes?
Sure.
Did they specify what the F stands for? Because
no,
when I saw F1
like
and F2, I kind of went, I'm thinking of an F word, all right.
Yeah, I know, but no, they didn't specify. So this is so you got assumption of inferiority, you got denial of non-religious prejudice, you have assumption of religiosity, endorsing non-religious stereotypes, and pathology of non-religious identities. Let's kind of go through the list. And how many of these have you done, sir? I'll start with the first 9 here, the F1.
Start with F1.
I'll start with F1. Others have assumed that I would be selfish because of my lack of religion. Have you assumed that somebody was selfish because of their lack of religion?
No.
So why would they think this?
I don't know. I actually feel sorry for atheists.
I do too.
I think faith is a gift, and I think rather than looking down at atheists and people who are non-believers and who don't share the same faith or are weak in faith, I don't look down on them. I feel sorry for them because it's truly one of the greatest gifts you can be given. And when I see them, I don't feel bad. I feel bad for them, but I'm very thankful that I have a gift. So that's generally what I do.
Yeah, well, you talk to them because you love them. Others have devalued my contributions because of my non-religious background.
No, never
No?
done that.
Okay.
I generally don't ask people their religion because it generally doesn't end well.
Right? It usually ends in some sort of argument. Others have assumed that I am untrustworthy because of my lack of religion.
No.
And these are all questions. This is what they did. They sent these to to a bunch of atheists, and they sent all these questions and got back the responses from them. Others have assumed that I would not be helpful to another person because I lack religion.
No.
Why would you assume that? Everybody.
I've seen Christians be unhelpful.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of. Yeah. I mean,
I see Christians go to church and be awesome in church, and then the minute they're outside that church after that service, it's whoa.
I was about to say, didn't we just bypass the entire Catholic Church issue that's going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
Others have assumed.
Well, some could make they were very helpful, but not in a good way, and in a very bad way. And I don't really want to discuss that issue because I'll get wound up and get very angry. And let's have some fun.
Let's not go there. So others have assumed. There you go. So others have dismissed my contributions because of my non-religious background.
No.
Have you ever assumed that they would cheat on their work because of their lack of religion?
I've assumed people would cheat on their work, but it has nothing to do with their religion. It's more to do with their moral character. And in some cases, they're blatant, in their face of, hey, we have this shortcut, I'm taking it.
So here's the thing. I've got, this is the entire point of this. And going through and all of these questions, it always starts with, others have assumed blank.
Yeah.
Now, how do you know that they've assumed that? Unless you are assuming that they have assumed.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you've gone to them and asked them, hey, when you said this to me, did you assume that because of my lack of faith that you would be blah, 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 blah?
Yeah.
So how would they know? This is all subjective. There's no reality in this.
Well, the next one you can is actually an interesting one to ask.
Okay. Are you talking about the that I don't know right from wrong because of my lack of religion?
Yeah. That one you can actually have a discussion about.
That is the one that you can have a discussion about because, well, if you don't have any sort of faith in anything beyond yourself, what is right or wrong?
Yeah, like if you take it from a point of view of a Christian who believes in the American founding, you kind of understand that your rights come from your Creator, which we believe. If you're a Christian, is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and you kind of have the first two commandments God gave. Don't eat from the tree, and go have sex and reprocreate the world, and then you have the 10 commandments. You kind of have your right or wrongs, whether you agree with them or not. You kind of have that moral basis for society.
Yeah.
Does it mean if you're an atheist you can't have right or wrong? No, but the lines get blurred.
Well, not only that.
The lines get blurred because they make government their God.
But you have the same problem that that Benjamin Franklin warned of.
Yeah.
When he was who wrote that book? Name freaking just went out of my head.
Age of Reason.
Yeah, The Age of Reason. When he was writing back, talking about the Age of Reason, and he's like, "This is going to kill faith, despite what you're thinking and despite how you're doing. Do you understand that your setup and how you're talking about this and how you're writing about this will destroy the foundation of faith that made it possible for you to believe the way that you believe?"
Yeah.
It's like these people don't understand that the reason why they can be atheist because of a religious founding and a religious foundation that put in morals, put in guidelines, put in laws so that you can live by them and not have to have a faith.
But there's also the argument of point of view of, you just look at, lying, cheating, and stealing your way. One of the reasons we don't do it, or sorry, I actually can't speak for anyone else, I'll speak for myself. One of the reasons I live the life I lead is because, one, I think it's the way to try and live your life. I'm I'm a sinner and I'm very far from perfect. But you know, the ultimate aim for my life is you're fighting for your citizenship in the next world. You know, if you don't have the next world and you don't have any type of religion, you know, what is stopping you literally, you know, if there is no consequence, bar, you know, maybe going to jail, you know, of a manly consequence, what's stopping you, you know, cheating and stealing your way and, you know, robbing people? You know, where's the moral compass for right and wrong?
I've got to say that
I'm not saying you can't have it. I'm just saying it's actually one that you could actually have a debate over. I'm not saying that I wouldn't judge them. But like let's ask a question, like, you know, let me give you an example from like an Irish policy where I would argue something like, you know, that tomorrow morning the Irish government could meet and say, hey, we're going to tax you 95% of your wages. I would make an argument that is immoral. I could make a biblical argument about it. I could make a freedom argument about it. If you don't have any of that underpinning, how can you say that's immoral?
I got you.
You might say it's wrong.
What I've got to say to that is a pretty harsh argument coming from a person wearing a New York's jersey. John, where can everybody find you?
You can find me pretty much anywhere. I'm on Twitter, Freedom Disciple, Jonathon Dunne 58 on Facebook. I have a show on The Blaze called Freedom's Disciple. It's on every platform that you're on: SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Omni FM, Castbox, Stitcher, Google Play. You can find me. Look up Freedom's Disciple or Jonathon Dunne. You'll find me, and you get to see my smiley face.
There you go. And you can find us everywhere that he just mentioned, plus more.
Oh.
We'll see you next time. And it's
no
done.
overtime?
And it's done.
No overtime?
No, it's
no
done.
overtime?
I mean, you want some overtime? I'm
no
still
overtime?
running.
No overtime.
I'm still running. You want to do some overtime?
Is there anything you want to talk about that you want to do overtime? Is there any word?
I mean, we could just be chit-chatting, but I mean, I know it's 3 o'clock where you are basically, right?
I've had a tin of Coke. I'm wired.
You're wired now?
Huh?
Thanks to the Coke?
Uh-huh.
Oh, my.
The Coca-Cola has me wired to the moon.
Oh, man, that's not good.
No, I'll be fine. So what's your take on the whole Catholic Church thing?
Well, honestly, with the entire Catholic Church thing, that was something that was coming, man. That's been coming for so long.
Well, it happened in Ireland.
Oh, I know.
You know?
But it not just happened in Ireland, it also happened in Pennsylvania. It happened, you know.
Did you read some of the transcripts of it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like really like in depth. It's like
it's really bad about what they did. Really bad. It makes me hurt just thinking about the stuff that they did, and it's just I don't want to go there. I don't want to think about that mess. I don't want to, but we're going to, because, you know, I'm sure when Dylan gets back, he's going to want to talk about this actually on the show.
Yeah, it's you know what, it's so tragic. It's and what's so sad about it is the Pope's actually coming to Ireland next week.
Is he really?
Yeah, it's the World Meeting of Families.
Oh.
And he's in Ireland.
He's probably you know what? Pennsylvania then too.
I don't know, but no one I know is actually saying, well, you know what, I'm actually not going. I'm going to protest. It'll just be, which is. Like, I really hope, I hope other religions don't condemn every Catholic as bad, but I hope that, you know, Christians can unite and actually have a conversation about this and go, this is wrong.
Well, it's not just a Catholic issue. It's just a majority Catholic issue. But it's not just a Catholic issue. There are pastors, there are deacons, there are people. I mean, if you're going to a place of religion, you're going to a place of trust.
Yeah.
And if you've hidden yourself that well, there's a high probability that you could do that and you can infiltrate and get in pretty much anywhere. Yeah.
And like, you know, I one of the things I don't know if you saw the defense from the Catholic Justice League. Did you read some of their statements?
No.
Oh, oh, they're not good.
What do you mean?
Oh, they're horrible.
I didn't read them because I was
Oh,
just
go read them. So like one of them was like they came out with this statement where it was like, well, this happens everywhere, and the Catholic Church is one of the lowest rates. Only one out of every 200 priests does this. And I'm like,
wait a second.
this is, and so we're supposed to celebrate that only one out of every 200 priests has done this. It's like,
That's
it
not
should
something
be,
you celebrate, dude.
no, it should be zero out of ever how many priests you have. It might be one, obviously one or two bad cookies out of like a million, but one out of every 200. Like if you think of how many Catholics are, churches are in Ireland or in the US, if it's one out of every 200, and that's something to be a defense, it's like,
I don't.
no.
No, that doesn't jive, man. That is not
No.
right.
They didn't respond at all well. And the truth is when this happened in Ireland, they didn't respond. But the thing that annoys me the most is that there are people out there, and I'm not defending them, who do this action, and they are sick, twisted, vile, evil scum.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know people don't like when I say this, but I put these people in the same boat as like Mao or Stalin or Pot or Hitler. You are literally that evil to do this.
Well, when you think
to
about
a
it,
kid.
so what you're doing to little kids is going to basically destroy them for their entire life.
Yeah,
That's
don't recover from this.
No, I mean you can, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot. I mean, people are resourceful. People are resilient, but it takes a lot. And I mean, you may not ever really truly fully recover, but at the same point in time, I'm very open to This is definitely a point of I would do death penalty on this, but before that, cruel and unusual punishment would come into play.
Oh,
I'm sorry, that would just
we were discussing this. I was like, just give me 10 minutes along with every one of them.
I know.
I would just.
Yeah, I mean, castration is the first thing.
Oh no, castration's the second thing.
Oh no, first thing.
No, I go with the cruel and unusual punishment. I do my best to like break my hand off their face.
See, I don't want to break my hand though. I want to be able to use it to
I'm not going to break my hand, but I'm going to punch them so much and so hard that literally I'm going to be determined to try and break my hand. Please God, it wouldn't break, but that's how hard and how much stuff. And then after I finished with my hand, I'd find weapons like a table or a chair.
I'd protect my hand. I'd have a gauntlet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd go find a steel gauntlet with like that leather lining interior and just start wailing away.
Yeah. No, but the people I really feel disgust of that is, the people who knew this was going on and who covered it up.
Yeah.
How can you turn?
So you have that, right? But then you have all the people in sports. And you have all these people in sports and they're like, You knew all about it. And they're like, no, actually, I didn't. I had no clue what was going on. That wasn't even my purview. I just happened to be like coaching a certain type of the field at the same point in time. And these people are getting castigated and thrown out and ripped up and down and left and right in the news. And then you come out with 300 in Pennsylvania and thousands worldwide. And what?
No, it's an epidemic, and I can only hope that let me say it this way. I can only hope that the Pope speaks as viciously against these people as he has against global warming deniers and about people who love capitalism. If he speaks with that much passion about this abuse, maybe they might have a chance of survival. But maybe. It's from the Irish experience, they won't deal with it well. They'll cover it up. There'll be no real apology. There'll be lip service apologies, but there won't be any meaningful change. And it's going to, what really bothers me is it makes every Christian look bad.
Oh yeah, every single one.
and that's a problem. And because we're living in times where evil is growing, and we were talking when before the show ended, we were like, right and wrong. If we, even if you don't believe in God, or you think the Bible is the biggest bunch of hocus pocus, the principles lying in there you can use as a moral compass. If we're not the people who have credibility saying these things, who else is going to say them?
Exactly. We have to say them, and we have to be the first ones to say them, because we are the people that would be entwined in that faith.
Because if you've no Christians doing it, you've got the Jews, and the world. Call me skeptical. The world hasn't been great at listening to Jewish people throughout the years.
No. Even the Jews haven't been too good at listening to the Jews.
Yeah, I know. So, literally, what else have we got? I suppose we've got the religion of peace in Islam, but it's. And I say Islam. There is a very clear distinction. There's a distinction between Islam and Muslims.
There is a very, very big lineation between the two.
There's a big difference, because one of my big frustrations with some people on the right, quote unquote, is you don't know the difference. There are good Muslims out there. There
are, but 10% of X billion is still a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot, but we throw everyone under the bus. I look at people like, a personal friend of mine, Zudi Jasser. He's a good Muslim. Yeah. He'll talk people under the table. Like, he'll talk to you about John Locke. I don't know many Americans who are Christians or atheists or Jews who can talk to you about John Locke as good as Zudi Jasser can. So it's what's not. don't see Muslims per se as a problem. I see Islamists who want Sharia, who want to do horrific things to people.
Yes,
and want to impose their law. That's just another form of tyranny. And we need to be the voices saying, no, we're not anti-Muslim, we're anti-tyranny, and your Sharia law is a form of tyranny, and any tyranny, whether it comes from left, right, top, bottom, gay, straight, Muslim, Christian, we should be fighting against.
Yes, so for sure. Definitely. And I mean, that's the entire point, we should be fighting against that mess. Any sort of tyranny, any sort of push to do something of that sort.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, any other big stories coming from your world this week?
Oh, there's a ton of stories coming from our
come
world,
on, give me one or two. One or two.
I am not. No. What do you mean?
Give me one or two before. What
are you talking about? Okay, so hold on. Let me pull this up. Here you go. Couple stories that have been happening.
We still live?
Oh yeah, well, sort of.
Oh, we're still live.
We're on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We're still hanging on Facebook. I mean, a couple things. Let's see. Democratic socialists are getting told by Norway that Norway is not socialist. Of course, we've talked a little bit about that.
That was hilariously funny.
That is funny. Norway says they're not socialist.
That was also hilariously funny. It was like, you kind of are.
You kind of are. Then you have what? You have.
Did you see? I'm not Omarosa. What's that girl's name that I
Candace
can?
Owens?
I'm no. What's the girl from the primary in New York?
Oh, you're talking about Ocasio?
Yeah, I can never. I butcher people's names. I'm worse than Glenn for butchering people's names.
Well, that's that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Her. Did you see she got panned by everyone in the media today?
Yeah, because she's an idiot.
No, but do you know why she got panned?
No, not today. But I mean, in general, she's an idiot. So.
Oh, she's comedy gold. She's her eyes are comedy gold. Her looks are comedy gold. Her facial expressions, when a question comes, she's
gold. Jerry. She's gold.
Yeah, she's gold. She just has this constant look of, oh dear God, how am I going to answer this? No, she had an event last night. And she made it close to the press, and the press literally destroyed her. I'm talking everyone from.
Oh yes, I did hear about that. Yes, I did. I just didn't think about
New
it
York
because.
Times. because her reason was she's like playing the victim. She's like, this is another non-story from the media, and
Wait,
like
wait,
the
wait,
media.
wait, 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 wait. You just used a Trump line.
Yeah, a non-story.
A non-story. She used a Trump line. She said, "This is another non-story from the media."
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I know. And what was funny was they actually compared her to Trump as well, which I'm sure went down. One of the
I'm sure she loved
journalists. One of the journalists said, press not invited to a campaign rally. This reminds me of Trump in 2016. I'm sure. And like they tagged her in the comment, and I was like, I'm sure she loved that comment.
Yeah. By the way, Erica says that you need to take off that jersey. Anyway, so
watching. Okay,
of course she's still watching.
Hey, Erica. In case you don't know what that is, this is the label. Look.
Oh, wow. Okay. Given that giant kiss, there's also a bleak epidemic of record numbers of overdoses now and overdose deaths over the past year in America, which is wonderful, right? That's awesome. You have the New
Sure.
you have the New Mexico guys. Their court date was put on hold because of death threats, bombings to the court.
Oh, nice.
You got Ann Coulter blaming the president or shaming the president for nepotism.
On one side, God bless Ann Coulter.
On one side,
it's how, it's, the way certain people think.
Yes.
Like if you grow up, I know you guys are like this as well, but like when you work with the Blaze, like Glenn doesn't care what opinion you have per se.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say this as someone who knows him personally. What really annoys him is if he starts talking to you or starts following you and you're inconsistent. Like if you like just change.
You can be whatever you want, but if you start changing your opinions on stuff and don't have a reason why.
Yeah, like he'll ask you your pivot point. Like he's hired so many people who I would go, why would you hire them? Like just on their views, not on their personalities. Like he's hired people who are pro-choice. Last year he hired a load of people who are pro-Donald Trump, like literally in the middle of the campaign. And you're like,
that's not a good idea.
Well, I'm not going to say it's not a good idea, but it's kind of interesting. But it's who he is, and he cares more about the job.
Right.
But one of the things that annoys him, and you don't have a long career at the Blaze if you're inconsistent. The likes of Ann Coulter, who can like literally come out with a book of "In Trump We Trust," and within like 2 years is like slamming him for everything
because he didn't do the one thing that she wanted him to do.
And that would be what?
She wanted him to build the wall. That was it.
But can you be more specific? Because there's actually there's a deeper reason than that.
I can't be more Pacific. I can be more Atlantic.
Specific.
Stop!
Late. Don't.
It's getting late, isn't it?
No. It's y'all are jealous of my accent and the way I pronounce words. Just because I say things different. You say tomato, I say tomato. So what?
Oh, come on! No. My kids say Pacific.
Pacific, yeah. But there's actually a deeper reason for it that a lot of people seem to have forgotten. She's not annoyed about the wall per se. Mm-hmm. She's annoyed at the fact that he didn't take her policy because she wrote his manifesto.
Right. I forgot that she wrote a policy for him.
Yeah, and she said it was. And do you remember the quote when she unveiled the policy?
No,
It was one of the greatest quotes because I'll never forget it. It's one of the most finest piece of writings since the Magna Carta.
Oh my!
And then like 2 months later, it came out. Who's the author of this wonderful piece?
Oh, it was Ann Coulter.
Ann Coulter. Oh, so you're saying it's the greatest piece of writing since the Magna Carta, and you're the author.
And you're the one that's parading Trump over him being boorish and other such things.
Yeah, I know. So Ann Coulter, God bless her.
Mm-hmm.
We do have to talk about one serious issue before we go, because I think people need to watch this. So, if you're worried about the economy, this is actually a serious issue. If you're worried about the economy, I can't give you too many details, but if you pray or you care or you want to know this, please pray for the people of Venezuela. Things are not.
Yeah. I was catching up on it because you were mentioning it. And that almost took our show over, but they haven't crashed yet. They haven't crashed yet. So.
Well, from sources I've been told, Venezuela's on the verge of the collapse, of an economic collapse.
Yeah, from what I was reading, they're well on their way.
Yeah, but like from what I've been told, it's imminent.
Mm-hmm.
Now the problem is because some people have asked, I've shared this with some media sources as well. They're going, well, what's imminent? Are we talking hours, days, or weeks? It's not like baking a cake. It's not like, hey, there's your cake. Put it in the oven at 180 degrees for 12 hours and there it comes out, or 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it is. It could happen as soon as it could be happening as we speak.
Ask Soros. It's not it's not a recipe. It's an art.
Yeah, it is. But it could happen as like you could wake up tomorrow morning to the news of Venezuela collapsing, or you could. It could be a couple of weeks, but the situation is dire. Like if you think of it just simply in simple terms, if you can visualize you have $100 in your wallet right now,
mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you find out what the president has just done, and that $100 is now worth a cent.
Yeah, it's basically useless.
Just think about that. That's the situation these people are in.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at some of the other, I'm going to butcher these stats, but they have increased the minimum wage in Venezuela because, to help people, and it's all through the government. They've increased the minimum wage by something like 150%.
Yes.
But compared to the dollar, it's actually down 65%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
and then don't forget about the adding more taxes and such like that to raise the actual price of oil. Don't forget about that. So he raised the actual price of oil on stuff internally, so nobody can make any money trying to sell it black market style.
Yeah, but he's also doubling down, because one of the things he's done is if you want cheap oil, you have to sign up for an ID card, which basically tells the government everything about you.
Right. So you have to give up your entire life.
Yeah. Basically. So even though it's on the verge of economic collapse and anyone knows this, he's still going for I want as much power and much control as physically possible. Like some of the stories which are going to come out, you're going to see them coming out over the next couple of weeks. If you actually care about Venezuela, I will say this, a bit of insider baseball, and I shouldn't be saying this. You want to listen to Glenn Beck's show at 10 o'clock on Monday morning. That's all I'll say. But if you care about Venezuela, or you're interested in what's actually happening on the ground from someone from Venezuela, listen to Glenn Beck on 10 o'clock on Monday morning. Yes, do. And but the stories you'll start to hear, it's unmanageable. Like imagine eating a dog. They eat dogs.
And they eat rhinoceros, and they eat giraffe, and they eat anything in the zoo.
They've cleared the zoos out.
Yeah, they cleared all the zoos out because they ate them all. And then so they started with the cats and the dogs, so they went to China route and.
But if you imagine you have a kid, imagine you can have fun about it, but it's such a tragic situation where, imagine you've got a kid and you're trying to feed your kid this evening, and you're walking home from your local factory, or you're just walking down the street and you're literally going through trash bins.
And you have to.
Yeah. But I did read one poll which was kind of, I think, done in art, maybe it was just the way I read it, was done in kind of a satire form.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have an obesity problem, because on average, I think I read this story where 60% of the population in 2017 lost 11.5 pounds, or 11.5 kilos.
Kilos,
so
not
they
pounds,
don't have
kilos.
It's kilos. So they don't have an obesity problem in Venezuela. So
isn't that what didn't Stu do a whole segment on that? On his show, he did an entire segment on World of Stew.
Yeah.
A diet commercial. Come to Venezuela.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was a place to go. But the hardship, and we need to share the message of freedom with those people as well, because this is why socialism doesn't work. what's so frustrating for me is, socialism doesn't work anywhere. But you look at a country like Venezuela that has so many natural resources. Like if I actually list out the resources they have, hold on, I actually have it here. So I was working on it for something else. Do you think a country that has the following resources should be technically poor? Diamonds, gold, iron ore, gas, and oil.
In abundance, all.
Do you think that country should be poor?
Negative.
That is why socialism does not work. You can fix Venezuela tomorrow. If you actually heard. It will. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be plain sailing. But if you actually commit to the principles of the free market and you empower the individual and you incentivize people to work and actually, go or get the iron ore, get the gas, get the oil, don't have government controlling it, it could be a really prosperous nation. Like, if you don't have to go too far back into history books, I know we don't like doing that anymore, but you don't have to go too far back to see Venezuela as like a really, really quote unquote successful country.
Yeah, but that was up until what, 1996 when everything crashed?
Well, I think the problems was it started in 93 where Perez was caught embezzling funds. But then, and then Chavez got elected after him and it just went oof.
Speaking of, how is Hugo Chavez a name for anybody? How are these people names? Like any of these guys?
I don't get what the question. Sorry.
Like people idolize these people.
Oh, I know. Oh, you want to know?
Here in America, they idolize them. How? How and why?
Oh, you want to hear did you hear about the Labour MP who was on Nightline over here in the UK?
No. Like
one of the things she said, oh my God, I'll send you this video and I'll post it. This is one of the most amazing videos. So if you can think of, I'm trying to think of a situation. I'm not good in your culture. If you can imagine like a chat show of politicians and like talking heads, but it's not one-on-one interview. So it's kind of, if you imagine like, do you remember like what Johnny Carson would do and Jay Leno, where like, not politicians, but like he'd have like 2 or 3 guests by the end of the night and they'd all be sitting on the sofa.
All of them would sit on the couch and they'd all be
having a chat, and there's no real script per se. Well, there's this show over here it's an English show. I think it's on BBC Two, and it's called Nightline or something like Nightline or Nighttime, or it's questions. But basically they have like talking heads and they'll have politicians and they'll just generally talk about stuff. And sometimes they like I don't watch it religiously because it blows my mind. But sometimes they have like comedians to bring who are like talk about politics and issues and then bring a bit of fun. And they're just generally having a chat. All of a sudden, this lady who is, if I'm being truthful, if I'm being truthful, is one of the most stupidest people to ever live. You can't say that in the culture because she's black and she's a woman. But literally, the woman, she speaks on foreign policy. Like, let me give you an example. Do you remember the whole "What's Aleppo" controversy?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
She would be 10 times worse than that.
No.
I'm not joking. She is like some of the stuff she has done. If she wasn't a woman and she wasn't black and we didn't live in a politically correct culture, you would have comedy gold with some of the stuff she has said over here.
She is comedy gold. It's just we have to take her out of context.
Yeah. No, you take her in context. It's just you can't, because she's black and she's a woman. You can't make it.
That's what I mean. I mean, take her comments in context, but take her out of the context.
Yeah. No, she's unbelievably bad. But she's literally sitting on this sofa, and all of a sudden it comes to Mao, and she said, and I quote. Well, actually, hold on. What was the exact quote? It was something like, "Well, he did a lot of good that people don't remember."
He did a lot of what?
I'm going to get you the exact quote, but that's paraphrasing what.
No.
I'm not joking.
You didn't have. You did not have an MP.
Yes, we did. No, that's an English MP, not an Irish MP.
Right.
Irish people aren't that stupid.
Are you sure?
Well.
Are you sure?
Can I plead the fifth on that one? But yeah, I am not joking. This is literally I'm trying to find it because I saw it. But yeah, it's literally that is effectively what she said. I'm paraphrasing it. I'm trying to find the exact quote.
That's crazy.
Diane Abbott.
Oh, you just said her name. Bad you.
I know, yeah.
It's okay. You're talking to an American show. Nobody will ever catch it.
Oh yeah, here we go. Diane Abbott. Chairman Mao, on balance, did more good than harm. Quote.
What?
Yes.
Mao?
Yeah, on balance, did more good than harm.
On balance, did more good than harm.
Yeah.
Is she speaking of the same Mao?
Oh yes, because the follow-up question was, well, how much good do you have to do to, like, excuse 60 million people dead?
They actually said that.
Yeah, someone actually turned back and they made a joke out of it. But
well, I'm glad somebody did.
Yeah, well, but it was in a joking way because the one thing we have over here is with politically correctness, like if someone makes that sentence, you're kind of going. My reaction is, are you hot? What does he have to do? Like, what good can you do to overcome 60 million babies? Like, come on, don't be silly and try and get you to walk back your comments and guide you back into some place of normalcy because it's like people are not ready to hear this, but that's what they did.
Yes.
Balance did more did more good than harm.
That's just stupid.
Well, no, it's people taking their mask off. People are, like you see it in culture. You see it over there. I see it over here. People wearing a Che shirt.
Yeah. That
I've actually had a situation on a college campus when I went to college for 1 year. I'm going to say 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 4 years. I can't remember. It feels like so long ago. I went to college for a year and I dropped out because for many reasons, but one, I just couldn't take
I did the same thing.
I could not take the lack of logic, but I tend to wear a cross in public because I'm a Christian. You've seen me wear the cross, and everyone that's seen me in public has seen me wear this cross. I had someone in a Che shirt tell me one time that I was the problem with the world because I hated gay people. And I'm like, you're wearing a Che shirt.
You're the problem with the world, Che.
Yeah, of all the offenses quote unquote my people have done to the gay people, your people, the person you're representing, has done a million times worse. It's
like it's like wearing a shirt of the current imam, of one of the current imams, and being like, you know what, you guys kill the gays.
Yeah, we killed the gays.
Look at your shirt.
Yeah, you're throwing people off buildings. But that's the problem. Like, we have no consensus. Like, I for one, like, and I say this, and this is where I get hate from all sides of the aisle. I would gladly stand with Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, of anyone, with Rachel Maddow. You think of all the crazy people and the commentators, right? I'm talking everyone. And if we all just came together and said, you know what? You don't throw gay people off building. I would stand with them. I would stand with GLAAD and go, look,
yeah, of course.
I think you're crazy. I think me and you have nothing else in common. But I would link arms with you and say, we don't throw people off buildings.
Well, that's the point.
I'd actually even make a generalized statement. Hey, forget the gay part. Hey, let's just not throw anyone off a building. Link arms. And then when we finish linking arms on that issue, we'll go, listen, you're socialism, you're crazy.
Right. Yeah. Hey, we're done with this issue. That was great.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
that was awesome.
But you guys are nuts.
Yeah.
So glad we did that. But you guys are nuts. And speaking of you guys being nuts, I think it's time to shut down the live feed.
I think it is too.
Bye-bye Facebook. Bye-bye YouTube. Have a good night, guys.